Hey everybody, my name is Jeremy from Tech Designs here in beautiful Southern California. And if you have a Class C RV, and maybe even more important, you have one of these beautiful Jayco Entegras, you may not be so happy with how much ground clearance it has or how the coach rides really overall. Well, I have some fixes in order to solve both of those problems, and we're going to do just that in this video. And if you're wondering, this is a 31F. This is a big RV. We're gonna have some fun here at Tech Designs and make you love your Jayco even more than you do already. All right, guys, here it is. This thing is a beast. Now you can tell just pulling out of the driveway how much more clearance this RV has, and that is great. We know that we don't want to be dragging the ass end of these. So I do have my handy dandy tape measure. We are gonna take some measurements on this, what the coach is now. We can also compare that to our before measurements. Since we didn't do tires on that, that's going to be a big plus. But not only that, you can go measure your coach at home and see how it compares to this to see if something like this would work for your Class C RV. It's not just the Jayco Entegra that works on. So a lot of fun stuff. Let's jump into this. Let's start measuring this, and let's talk about what we did to make this thing so amazing. So the first thing I want to talk about is this is going to be a 4-inch lift kit. This thing is going to have a lift coil on the front of it in order to give it that lift. We've also added a set of Fox shocks to the front of it as well. That's really going to control the ride, giving that really amazing ride. Now, a lot of you guys add things like sway bars and things of that nature because the springs that you have on your RV are under too much of a load. The spring rate is so great. So a lot of people will say, well, I just added a sway bar to it to tighten it up. Well, we don't like doing that. We actually like going to a bigger coil with a higher spring rate in order to control the ride of this. We're not having to upgrade any of the sway bars, and that's a big plus. The next thing we've done on this is we've added our extended radius arm. This radius arm is going to be 9 inches longer than the stock radius arms. It's also going to include new brackets and new bushings in there as well. So if your coach is a little bit older, has some worn out parts, we're going to take care of a lot of the preventative maintenance issues as well. We're also going to push that wheel slightly forward, so if you do decide to go to a larger tire, you will have the room in there. And all of these things put together is a big plus, and this is our 4-inch kit. Now the big question is, well, how high does this sit now? So as I come to the center of the wheel and I come to the bottom of this fender well, right there, we're going to be at 35 3/4 of an inch. Now another important thing that we're going to want to talk about is how high we are on the leveling jacks. Let's jump in close and get a measurement under there. So on here, we're gonna come to the bottom of that, and we're gonna call that 8.5 inches to the bottom of the pad. So a lot more room, and that's gonna make that a lot more difficult for that to be damaged. That's still gonna extend all the way down and be able to lift your coach up. And if you have too much space there, you could always put blocks or pads underneath it. I definitely recommend that anyways, especially if you're gonna be in any kind of soft material. You don't want the pad just going into the dirt, not doing its job. So that's really nice on the front of this. We're not done with the front of this. Let's jump all the way to the front and show you something else. All right, so we come to the front of this RV and there is a couple things that I want to point out that we did. The first one is going to be your steering stabilizer. That's going to be really nice, as that is a shock for your steering. It's going to tighten up your steering as well as help you a lot with those bumps, dips, and those awful potholes that you hate hitting. It's going to reduce the amount of play you get in your steering and the feedback as well. Definitely a big plus, and I would add it on to any vehicle, whether you do a lift or not. Well, the last thing I want to talk about up here in the front of this is we got rid of the chrome bumper and went to our blacked out bumper and blacked out grille. And geez, this looks so sexy on this motorhome because of all the black and that full body paint that the Jayco Entegra has. So we're not done there. Let's go jump to the back of this and talk about what we did to improve that rear suspension, because we know the rear of these things are just a mess. So this is really nice how much clearance this has now under the back of this. It's sat really low. And for this customer, they do a lot of off-road photography and have to get into crazy places. And that's really cool. If you want to see more of their work, head over to Bink Designs. They do some killer work. So let's talk about the lift on this and what we did. As you see, we did a giant set of progressive springs in there. Now, what's really nice about that is all the lift is built into the spring. Now, if you go and take a look under your RV, you're gonna probably notice that your spring sits really flat or negative. You're also gonna notice that in a lot of these RVs like this Jayco, it's also gonna have the Hellwig helper springs on top of that. Really what that's saying is that the coach is completely overweighted and needs help to hold it up, to get it off that lot and put it in your driveway. Well, hopefully it fits in your driveway, that is as well. So this spring is not only going to give you the lift, but it's going to help also control the stability and make it ride so much better. That's a plus. Another thing that's going to help this ride really nice is we did add a set of Fox shocks to the rear. Well, the question you're probably all asking is, well, we just want to know how high it sets. I'm going to use my mental telepathy and say, 35 3/4 of an inch. Am I right? Am I right? I don't know. Let's see. 36. Oh man, we're so close. If we're being 35 11/16. So we're almost 35 3/4 to the back of it. So really that's nice. It's gonna give you a front measurement and rear measurement that are the same height to the wheel wells. Now, another thing you're probably asking is, yeah, that's great, but now how high do the levelers sit off the ground? Well, let's jump under this thing and take a measurement. All right, so as I come lay under this thing, there is a couple things that I want to talk about. First of all is these things right here. These are our black and gray water, and of course we don't want to rip those off of our coach. So now to the bottom of these things, I'm coming in at about 13 3/4 of an inch. So you can go ahead and measure yours at home, see where they're coming in at, and know just how much more clearance these have. God, I would hate to rip this off. This would just ruin your whole vacation. But the thing we really want to know under here is how high is that leveler, and that's going to be 10.5 inches to the bottom of that. So quite a bit of room under there. I want to say that might have only been about 4.5 or 5 inches originally. Gosh, there's all kinds of room, and that is going to be great because the last thing I want to do is rip that or my shitter tank off the back of my RV. So a lot of things going on here. You know what? I'm going to give you guys one more measurement. We're going to head all the way to the back of this RV and give you that measurement as well, because I know these things all have a few variations. And the big question is how is this going to improve your clearance? So I'm going to give you all kinds of numbers to compare your coach to this coach. All right, so as we come to the very back point of this RV, what's really nice is this does gonna have the dovetail on the back of it to give you a little bit more clearance. And as I measure that, we're gonna be at 25.5 inches to the back of this RV. A lot of cool things going on here. Let's recap what we did on this awesome Jayco Entegra. All right, so let's recap all of the killer stuff we did on this RV. We did our 4-inch adventure kit on the front of this. We added a set of progressive springs and Fox shocks to the rear. And then we did a Fox steering stabilizer up front because you know you gotta have it, you love it, you must do it. The other thing that I think you gotta do on an RV like this with these beautiful colors is a blacked out bumper and a blacked out grille. Maybe a light bar too. Maybe that's what I'll do next on this, who knows? So I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. That's all I have, but if you want more RV fun, head over to Jeremy's World 10. That's my other channel where I'm having just craziness over there. Otherwise, that's all I got. That's it. I'm done. I'm Jeremy from Tech Designs. I'll see you in the next video.